and neighborhood, British English, Australian English, and Canadian English, or neighborhood, American English, see spelling differences, U.S. omitted in American English, is a geographically localized community within a larger city, town, suburb, or rural area. Neighborhoods are often social communities with considerable face-to-face interaction among members. Researchers have not agreed on an exact definition, but the following may serve as a starting point. Neighborhood is generally defined spatially as a specific geographic area and functionally as a set of social networks. Neighborhoods, then, are the spatial units in which face-to-face social interactions occur, the personal settings and situations where residents seek to realize common values, socialize youth, and maintain effective social control. In the words of the urban scholar Lewis Mumford, neighborhoods, in some annoying, inchoate fashion, exist wherever human beings congregate, in permanent family dwellings, and many of the functions of the city tend to be distributed naturally, that is, without any theoretical preoccupation or political direction, into neighborhoods. Most of the earliest cities around the world as excavated by archaeologists have evidence for the presence of social neighborhoods. Historical documents shed light on neighborhood life, and numerous historical pre-industrial or non-Western cities. Neighborhoods are typically generated by social interaction among people living near one another. In the sense they are local social units larger than households, not directly under the control of city or state officials. In some pre-industrial urban traditions, basic municipal functions such as protection, social regulation of births and marriages, cleaning and upkeep are handled informally by neighborhoods and not by urban governments. This pattern is well documented for historical Islamic cities. In addition to social neighborhoods, most ancient and historical cities also had administrative districts used by officials for taxation, record-keeping, and social control. Administrative districts are typically larger than neighborhoods, and their boundaries may cut across neighborhood divisions. In some cases, however, administrative districts coincided with neighborhoods, leading to a high level of regulation of social life by officials. For example, in the Tang period Chinese capital city Chang'an, neighborhoods were districts and there were state officials who carefully controlled life and activity at the neighborhood level. Neighborhoods in pre-industrial cities often had some degree of social specialization or differentiation. Ethnic neighborhoods were important in many past cities and remain common in cities today. Economic specialists, including craft producers, merchants, and others, could be concentrated in neighborhoods, and in societies with religious pluralism, neighborhoods were often specialized by religion. One factor contributing to neighborhood distinctiveness and social cohesion in past cities was the role of rural to urban migration. This was a continual process in pre-industrial cities, and migrants tended to move in with relatives and acquaintances from their rural past. Neighborhood sociology is a subfield of urban sociology which studies local communities. Neighborhoods are also used in research studies, from postal codes and health disparities to correlations with school dropout rates or use of drugs. Neighborhoods have been the site of service delivery or service interventions, in part as efforts to provide local, quality services, and to increase the degree of local control and ownership. Alfred Kahn, as early as the mid-1970s, described the experience, theory, and facts of neighborhood service delivery over the prior decade, including discussion of income transfers in poverty. Neighborhoods, as a core aspect of community, also are the site of services for youth, including children with disabilities, and coordinated approaches to low-income populations. While the term neighborhood organization is not as common in 2015, these organizations often are nonprofit, sometimes grassroots, or even core-funded community development centers or branches. Community and economic development activists have pressured for reinvestment in local communities and neighborhoods. In the early 2000s, community development corporations, rehabilitation networks, neighborhood development corporations, and economic development organizations would work together to address the housing stock and the infrastructures of communities and neighborhoods. Example: community centers. Community and economic development may be understood in different ways, and may involve faith-based groups and congregations in cities. In the 1900s, Clarence Perry described the idea of a neighborhood unit as a self-contained residential area within a city. The concept is still influential in new urbanism. Practitioners seek to revive traditional sociability and plan suburban housing based on a set of principles. At the same time, the neighborhood is a site of interventions to create age-friendly cities and communities, AFCC, as many older adults tend to have narrower life space. Urban design studies thus use neighborhood as a unit of analysis. In mainland China, The term is generally used for the urban administrative division found immediately below the district level, although an intermediate, sub-district level exists in some cities. They are also called streets. Administrative terminology may vary from city to city. Neighborhoods encompass 2,000 to 10,000 families. Within neighborhoods, families are grouped into smaller residential units or quarters of 100 to 600 families and supervised by a residence committee. These are subdivided into residence small groups of 15 to 40 families. In most urban areas of China, neighborhood, community, residential unit, residential quarter have the same meaning, or, and is the direct sublevel of a subdistrict, which is the direct sublevel of a district, which is the direct sublevel of a city. See Administrative Divisions of the People's Republic of China. The term has no general official or statistical purpose in the United Kingdom, but is often used by local boroughs for self-chosen subdivisions of their area for the delivery of various services and functions, as for example in Kingston upon Thames, or is used as an informal term to refer to a small area within a town or city. The label is commonly used to refer to organizations which relate to such a very local structure, such as neighborhood policing or neighborhood watch schemes. In addition, government statistics for local areas are often referred to as neighborhood statistics, although the data themselves are broken down usually into districts and wards for local purposes. In many parts of the UK, wards are roughly equivalent to neighborhoods or a combination of them. In Canada and the United States, neighborhoods are often given official or semi-official status through neighborhood associations, neighborhood watches or block watches. These may regulate such matters as lawn care and fence height, and they may provide such services as block parties, neighborhood parks, and community security. In some other places, the equivalent organization is the parish, though a parish may have several neighborhoods within it depending on the area. In localities where neighborhoods do not have an official status, questions can arise as to where one neighborhood begins and another ends. Many cities use districts and wards as official divisions of the city, rather than traditional neighborhood boundaries. Zip code boundaries and post office names also sometimes reflect neighborhood identities.